Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. My ex-wife had been friends with our family since we were children. We were like the Three Musketeers. My parents had only 2 children, my brother and I. Between the 2 of us, I am the older one. We have been close for years and became even closer when my ex-wife's mom died, so my mother stepped in as a mother to her. She was always around us, and we shared many memories. Her dad didn't take her mom's death well and drowned himself with work, so we were her safe haven. You can say that my mom basically raised her. We all have 2 years apart from each other. Me, my brother, then her. We started to date in university, but she was also so fond of my brother. But I didn't see anything wrong, because we basically grew up together, so I thought it was brotherly love. We got married a few years after university, and now that I'm thinking about it, I realize that my younger brother wasn't the happiest when we announced our engagement. Even at our wedding, he didn't give a toast and made some lame excuse to leave on time. I had thought it was because he was the more emotional one between the 2 of us, and he felt like I was taking the only person he saw as his sister away. My ex-wife and I had always wanted kids, but some years after we got married, we found out that I couldn't have kids. My wife was okay. I was the only one with the problem. We had a really hard time coming to terms with it, but she encouraged me and we got through it, or so I thought. We had made plans to adopt kids since we didn't want to be deprived of raising children, which had been our desire for a while. I came home one evening and my wife seemed scared about something. She just acted really weird. I tried to find out what it was, and she brushed it off. A week later, she told me that she was sorry she betrayed me and that she is pregnant with my brother's child. That hit me, but not as hard as when she said she fell in love with him, and if she was going to be honest, they both have been in love with each other for a while now. She said they realized it a few months before we got married, but were too scared to say anything. She has told my brother that nothing could happen between them, and he was heartbroken. It now made sense to me why my brother was acting up during our wedding. They reached out to me to apologize and see if we could still be together as a family, but I didn't want to hear it. The only reason why we still see each other is because of our parents, and I try to avoid contact as much as possible. It hurts too much when I see them happy together, and how weird they act around me, most likely because they feel guilty. My mother tried to get me to reconcile with them, but she knows better than to push it. I told her I will when I am ready. They got married with her baby bump. I didn't attend the wedding, and I don't think they were expecting me to, because I didn't get an invitation. It was a small wedding because of the situation. We all had the same circle of friends, so it was somehow awkward for most of them to attend their wedding. Attending would have meant that they were siding them and betraying me. When she gave birth, I did go to see her child, because I'm not going to be an evil uncle because of what my niece's parents did. It wasn't her fault, so I wasn't going to deny her the opportunity of having an uncle, as my ex was the only child. My family thought I was coming around, and my ex-wife had the impression that all was forgiven. My ex-wife asked me for money, and said she has the right to ask because we are family. I am more financially stable than my younger brother, and she is used to being taken care of. She always got what she wanted, especially from me, because I loved her since we were kids and couldn't say no to her, even when I had to go out of my way to get what she wanted. Things have changed now, sadly, so she couldn't expect me to oblige her and take care of her needs anymore. I am not responsible for her. It baffled me, the sense of entitlement that she had. She was surprised that I declined because I have never said no to her before. That's what she gets for being inhumane. I'm not going to lie, it hurts like nothing else I have ever been through before. It feels like my heart was yanked away from my body. I can't help but think about what could have been if my brother was not in the picture, or if I could have kids. Maybe she wouldn't have looked somewhere else. In the first few months, when everything happened, I had blamed myself for destroying our family. I thought it was my fault because I was the reason why we couldn't have kids. That drove me to a very dark place. I isolated myself and didn't make contact with anyone. I started to drink very heavily, then I moved to drugs just to get some relief from the pain I was going through. It wasn't healthy for me at all. I became very angry, and anyone that mistakenly said the wrong thing to me got all the aggression transferred to them. I desperately needed an outlet, something to release all the pent-up anger, sadness, and emotional turmoil I was feeling. My assistant recommended I meet someone who helped her go through a tough time as well. I was doing pretty well until my ex-wife asked me for money. All my defenses just shattered like glass. It's a shameless thing for her to be bold enough to ask me to give her money, and I'm sure my brother didn't know about it. Well, what I do know is that he seems to have changed a lot. The brother I knew is not the one I have now. I thought my ex-wife got the message after I declined her request for money about a month ago. This time, it was my mother who came to me on their behalf. Apparently, they have been struggling financially since my niece was born. I had no sympathy whatsoever for them. In fact, I was happier than I should have been. The news made my day. I know that's dark, but it was good to know that they didn't have it as easy as my proud brother tried to paint it. We've always spent the holidays together as a family at my house, but I wasn't ready for that this year. Plus, it was my ex-wife who did all the preparations, and I didn't have anything to celebrate or to be happy about. I most definitely did not want any awkward moments. Last year, they came to my house. I was married, and now my wife will be coming with someone else to my house. That is wrong on all levels, and I wasn't having it. After I said all this to my mother, it was clear that I wasn't going to change my mind about using my house, or even going to anyone else's, for that matter. I know that my mother was hurt because I was putting her in the middle of everything. She shouldn't have to miss her family because of one person's mistake. In the end, she would have to learn to live with it because I wasn't changing my mind anytime soon. She made me promise that I would come by her house for New Year's Eve while she would have my brother and his family for Christmas. I could live with that, so I agreed. I go to my mom's for New Year, and to my surprise, my brother and his family are there, together with some of our closest friends. I turn to go back to my car, but my brother stops me and asks me to please stay. It's the first time he's saying a word to me since the incident. I know he has an ulterior motive because of the look in his eyes, so I decided to stay to find out what it was. We had an awkward dinner, and then my ex-wife asked me to invest in their business because they have a great idea, and we are family, so we should help each other. Again with that line, we are family. I asked her what kind of family we are. She was taken aback and didn't respond to me. I can't believe this was some plot to get money from me. Everyone seemed to be quiet when my brother and wife betrayed me, but they have the nerve to come to some stupid dinner to get my money. I know my mother just wants her family together again and would do anything to see us together so that we can give each other a chance to heal. But this is too low. I can very well afford the money that they are asking for, so I impulsively wrote a check and handed it over to my ex-wife without a word as I leave the house. I had thought that one day I would be able to let everything go and forgive them, but I don't think that would happen. They all just showed me how they cared only about their individual interests. Everyone that was at my mother's house had their own agenda, and it wasn't for us to reconcile. Only my mom cared about us coming back together, and it's sad that I can't grant her her wish. The way I see it now is that I don't have a family, so I am going to start living like that. I don't want anything to do with my brother or his wife or any of our mutual friends. They are all hypocrites. I want a better life, a joyful one, and I am choosing me over a dysfunctional family. I can't cut ties completely because of my mother, but boundaries are being set, and everyone would respect it. Not the a-hole. You literally didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault that you couldn't have kids, so don't blame yourself for it. It's good that you are speaking to someone who can help and are cutting ties as much as you can. Protect your mental health at all costs. You're the a-hole for giving them money. I can't believe you did that. I'd rather they suffer for all I care. People can be really mean. Also, your mother could have handled the situation better and not let them exploit you, and they would most likely come back for more money. Not the a-hole. Your wife and brother have to be the most heartless people ever.
Here's the next story.
I, 44M, have been with my wife for 12 years, married for 6. We have 3 beautiful kids. We support our kids, live in our dream home, and go for vacation often. Life is good for us. I have no complaints. The problem is when I was in college, I was 19, a classmate of mine and her wife approached me about being a donor for her and her wife. They were both in their late 20s and wanted to have children, so I agreed. I told my parents about it. Lawyers were involved that I was not to seek them out or try to contact them or the kids. Everyone was on the same page. Eventually, we found out that they were both able to get pregnant. A few months later, I signed some more papers at the lawyer's office. I never heard anything else. They moved on, and I moved on. When visiting my parents, my wife and I ran into this family. Their son looks exactly like me, to the point where it was uncomfortable. Their daughter looks like my sister. They introduced us. It was awkward but pleasant. My wife was completely blindsided, but I understand. I never brought it up with my wife because when we first started dating, kids and fertility was a huge trigger for her because she had been told she would never have kids. But then we started popping out babies, so I never felt the need to bring this up because I could legally never be involved with these kids, like ever. She's now threatening divorce. She's really struggling with the fact that our kids have siblings. I tried to tell her that they don't, that they aren't my kids, and these women, their mothers, mean literally nothing to me. I go years without even giving them a thought. On hindsight, I could have, but I really was trying not to trigger a very sensitive issue for her. And we eventually have beautiful children of our own. So I feel like the a-hole. I have acknowledged my wife's feelings. She's handed me my ass several times. I haven't even tried to tell her she's wrong for being upset. I am trying to get her to agree to therapy. These pregnancies were done in a clinic, and I did not have sex with them. I have had copies of everything sent over to show my wife, including NDA, because we went to the same university, and parental rights. I am giving her space. I have validated her feelings. I am taking whatever reaction she throws at me, because I understand that she is shocked and upset. She still has not agreed to therapy. I will start therapy alone to see if she will eventually join me. I'm allowed to think divorce is an overreaction. My parents got involved because I was 19 to make sure I would not be financially liable, so they also signed an NDA. The NDA states not to contact, approach, or discuss the biology of all parties involved. I will not disclose anyone's age apart from my own. I will only say their donor children are over a decade older than my kids. No a-holes here. I get both sides. To you, those children are not your children. You donated sperm, and that was the end of your involvement. However, I can also see your wife's side, because she didn't know. If I knew my husband had donated sperm, it wouldn't bother me. If he knew that had resulted in a child and hadn't mentioned that to me, I'd have felt hurt and lied to. And that is probably what's upsetting your wife. She feels you deceived her, and if you kept this from her, what else have you kept from her? Not the least because my mind would be going to the what ifs in terms of if our child got into a relationship with their biological sibling. No a-holes here. This is a tough one. Legally, you don't have kids, just like most donors don't. But I'm not surprised that your wife is shocked and hurt that she found out by being blindsided. It also makes sense that you wouldn't have wanted to bring it up, since fertility talks triggered her. You were well-intentioned, but she is entitled to her feelings on this. Hopefully, some therapy will help.
Here's the next story.
So my sister barely watches her kids, but expects me and my mom to be here 24/7 while she's out and about. She treats me like her free babysitter, and it's my fault since I honestly let her do that for a while. But I'm 17 now, and over it. I have more independence, and I'm tired of watching her kids while she goes out. She even has me blocked on her social media because she doesn't want me to see that she's out having fun. My mom works a lot, especially overnight, so it's always me or my sister at home. Since I have the basement room, it's really easy for me to sneak out since my window is right above my bed and my room has a lock. I usually don't leave for long, usually just a few hours to drive around or smoke with my friends on the weekdays, and sometimes, on the weekends, we party. Last week, my sister came home for her own night out with her kids. They're 7 and 4, asleep in their rooms, and then wanted to get something from my room, but it was locked. She was knocking and pounding on it, and she realized I was gone and got upset. She called me, and I answered, and she was going off asking me where I was. I told her it's not her business, and she said I left her kids alone at home. I asked her how that's my business, and she shouldn't leave the house without making sure someone else is there. And if they are not, she needs to stay home. She then had the nerve to cuss me out, saying that I didn't leave through the front door. So how was she supposed to know I left? And I just hung up, not thinking anything of it. She ended up snitching on me for sneaking out to my mom, who was working here overnight, and then texted me. She was actually pretty cool and didn't care, since I have good grades and don't ever do anything bad, and said to be safe and to come home soon. I was so upset my sister had the nerve to snitch on me for leaving the house to live my life, expecting me to watch her kids as she goes out. So I decided to snitch back. I know my sister wants to have another final baby this year in 2022. I overheard talking about it to a lot of her friends. And she wants to have one with her children's father, since she doesn't want more than one dad or a big age gap. I got home that night, and the next morning, my mom and sister were arguing about what I told her. My mom said it's a slap in the face since she's working to help my sister, and she's planning another pregnancy as a single mom under my mom's roof. To our surprise, my mom said that she has until the end of the summer to move out since she can't do this anymore. My sister started crying, saying she doesn't have any money saved and can't afford rent or childcare. My mom then said to get a job. My sister started screaming at me, saying that I did this, all over me being the wrong one for sneaking out, and I'm the worst person ever, and an a-hole. Even her kids are mad at me. Was I really wrong for everything? I felt like she deserved it for snitching on me. Not the a-hole. Tell her straight up you are never to be considered as a babysitter unless she asks and you agree. Every time. She is a shitty parent and trying to have another with a seemingly deadbeat dad who needs to learn about birth control? What the heck? 100% not your responsibility. I can't believe she left her kids alone, just assuming you were there to pick up her slack. Next time, report her to CPS. Snitching is not the issue. They are her kids and her responsibility. And your mom, giving her a pass all these years to not act like a parent is ridiculous and has resulted in your entitled sister treating you like a free nanny. Not the a-hole. Your sister is horrible. She's the one who left her kids unattended without checking they had supervision. That is atrocious and could honestly make her lose her kids. And really, good for you for telling your mom she was planning another pregnancy. That's unreal. She can't take care of the two she has now. Why would she bring another life that she won't take care of into the world? Where is the children's father in all of this mess? Well, he's not really involved in their lives, but he does come around for holidays like Christmas, and he came for Easter last year and took them to his mom's and spent their birthday with them. But in their everyday lives, he's not involved. My mom and I don't even have his contact information, and we spend more time with my sister's kids than she does. And she still wants another baby with him.